This is Global Radio 99.5.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and guests and not
Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I am your host, Michelle Malcolm. And as always, it's a pleasure to be in your company today. Thank you so much for tuning in and making GPS a part of your afternoon. So today's show is going to be one which should interest you because it is something that we all as a nation have to be concerned about. But the show is a bit different because it's not coming from the direction that most people think that it is. I'm talking about climate change today, but from a health perspective. And I am waiting for my guests to come into the stream. My guests are from the Ministry of Health, and they're going to be talking about some initiatives that the Ministry of Health has ongoing that you need to learn about that are related to the whole question of climate change and your health. Because what people need to realize is that climate change has so much more to do than just temperatures rising. But there are many challenges that are faced from health concerns as a result. I'm getting a message from the guest saying we're having a challenge joining me. I'm not sure what that means. So let me find out what's happening with them. In the meantime, what we will do is I have a clip prepared that talks about the concerns for a community as it relates to climate change and health. So let's go ahead and play that clip, and that'll give us an opportunity to see if we can get our guests online. That's the very first one.
Widespread scientific consensus tells us the world's climate is changing. Extreme weather, unhealthy air quality, and disease outbreaks are becoming more frequent and more severe, affecting more people in more places. Changes to our climate mean our communities need to prepare for the health risks of higher temperatures. Extreme heat can lead to heat stroke, heat cramps, heat exhaustion, dehydration, and death. Anyone can be at risk, but some are more vulnerable, including pregnant women, people with heart or lung conditions, young children, older adults, athletes, and outdoor workers. So how do we prepare for extreme heat? Communities can establish cooling centers, plant trees to lower urban temperatures, and educate residents on ways to protect themselves and others, such as drinking plenty of water and checking on older relatives and neighbors. A changing climate also means more frequent and more severe storms and flooding. That puts people at immediate risk of being injured or killed by debris, downed power lines, or floodwaters. After a severe storm or flooding event, possible health risks are contaminated food or drinking water, bacteria, viruses, and toxic chemicals in floodwaters, mold, and difficulty accessing healthcare services like emergency help, prescribed medications, and supplemental oxygen. In these events, older residents, people with disabilities, and lower-income households are more at risk. They may all have a harder time fleeing from a storm and may face more health risks if they can't evacuate. One thing we often miss: the mental toll. First responders who witness countless tragedies and residents who are forced to flee are more vulnerable to anxiety and depression, even those who have no history of mental illness. To prepare, communities can find out which neighborhoods, people, and resources are most at risk, upgrade infrastructure such as roads and sanitary sewer systems, and educate residents on how to stay safe during and after an extreme weather event, such as avoiding driving in flooded areas. As average temperatures rise across the globe, air quality can also change. That looks like longer and stronger pollen seasons, which can trigger asthma attacks and allergies, hotter temperatures and changing weather patterns, which can make air pollution worse by increasing the density of dangerous particles, and more frequent droughts that can lead to wildfires, which release dangerous pollutants into the air. Young children, people with asthma and respiratory conditions, older adults, and people with compromised immune systems are more at risk of being harmed. Work that can help communities prepare includes collaborating with community partners to set up health-focused air quality alert systems and educating residents on how to check alerts to know when it's safe to exercise outside. Now, let's talk about these little guys, pests. Change to our climate can also mean more risk of diseases spread by pests like ticks, mosquitoes, fleas, and rodents. With higher average temperatures, diseases transmitted by pests can multiply faster, spread to more locations, and infect people over longer periods of time each year. Lyme disease, West Nile virus, Zika, and hantavirus are examples of the resulting health risks. People who spend extended time outdoors in areas where pest-borne diseases are common are most at risk. Communities can prepare by creating systems to track and assess population health effects and working with local partners on outreach strategies to help residents protect themselves, such as staying out of certain areas and using insect repellent. CDC's Building Resilience Against Climate Effects, or BRACE framework, helps health departments plan a coordinated community response. Using BRACE, communities are 1. Identifying the range of climate impacts and the people, locations, and resources most at risk. 2. Quantifying the health problems associated with a changing climate. 3. Assessing science-based interventions to address those health problems. 4. Developing and overseeing community adaptation plans. And 5. Evaluating the process to learn more about what works. For more information, visit cdc.gov/climate and health.
Hopeful that our special guests will be able to join us soon, because they're going to be bringing information that relates to what the plans are for us here in the Bahamas as it relates to mitigating some of the health concerns surrounding this whole question of climate change. There is a program that is being developed called CAP, and that stands for Knowledge, Attitude, and Practice. And this program is going to include, among other things, a survey in which they're going to reach out to the general public to find out what you know, what your attitude is towards climate change, and what are the practices that you are following right now and should be following to protect your health during this whole question of the climate change crisis that the world is facing. And so hopefully they will be logging on soon. Somebody's there. Okay, great. I'm just going to have you bring them into the conversation and have that person introduce themselves. Hello and welcome to GPS. Are you there? Are they muted? Okay, I'm not sure why. Are they speaking? What? Did you bring them into the stream? Oh, their laptop. They're having internet issues. Apparently, they're frozen. I'm being told. So hopefully that will clear up pretty soon, and we'll be able to get them into the conversation. So, like I said, in the meantime, while we're waiting for their technical issues to be worked out, this whole push towards knowledge, attitude, and practice is under the theme Secure Our Interests. Take knowledge, attitude, and practice or CAP. And they want you to take the survey, which has already started from October 3rd to the 28th of this year. And this is because the Bahamas is vulnerable to climate threats that impact our population. And the CAP survey will be designed to assist, or is designed to assist, in developing a national education campaign that will help people to understand the risks that are facing them. Are they still frozen? Are they still frozen? Pardon me? Okay, so we lost them. Okay, so hopefully they will be able to log back on as quickly as possible. So the reason why they are encouraging people to take the CAP survey, it says who should take the CAP. Health and environmental surveillance officers should take the survey, health professionals, civil society, and all adults over the age of 18 are encouraged to take the CAP survey. Because, like I said, this is something that is going to impact all of us and is already impacting us, but not in ways that most people think. When you hear of climate change, people just think of, intense hurricanes, more flooding, that kind of thing. But as you would have heard in that clip that we played, that means health issues as well. Increased flooding, for instance, can lead to water damaged properties, which leads to things like mold and other toxic substances that can impact your health. You've heard about sick building syndrome. Well, a part of getting a sick building syndrome is having a building that's been damaged by water, and the result is mold. And as I would have said on this show many times, as somebody who lived through that, mold is a very, very dangerous toxin that can take your life, literally. Other things that you should be concerned about as it relates to climate change and your health, the overheating of the earth and how that can affect the vulnerable populations that were mentioned in that clip. Pregnant women, little children, older people, people that already have breathing disorders like asthma, etc. People who work outdoors. If you're a construction worker, for instance, constantly out there in the heat, how is that impacting your health? I remember seeing a video very recently from the United States, actually. Are they back yet? From the United States, of a gentleman working, I think, for UPS as a delivery person. This actually made news in the United States. And somebody's home video, home surveillance system actually captured the gentleman collapsing on their doorstep as he got out to deliver their products from heat exhaustion, because it was revealed that UPS, at least in the United States, I don't know about other territories, does not allow their drivers, their trucks, to have air conditioning. And so if you are out there in that hot box all day with no air conditioning, driving around in the heat, surprise, surprise, not that you have people collapsing from heat exhaustion. And so if you are a person who works outdoors, this is a conversation that you need to be tuned into. If you are a person who is expecting a child, is pregnant, this is a conversation you need to be tuned into. If you have a small child or an elderly relative, this is something you need to be tuned into. because those persons are even at more risk than the average person who is already at risk. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Hopefully, fingers crossed, the representative from the Ministry of Health will get onto the call as quickly as possible, because, you know, this show is all about them and their plans today, and it would be difficult for me to talk about their plans not knowing what their plans are. And so in the meantime, the telephone numbers to call, 3260271, 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, and the WhatsApp line to send us a message via WhatsApp, a text message, is 801-0271, 801-0271. Those are the numbers to reach us on if you'd like to be a part of the show in terms of asking questions of our guests once they do get onto the stream, which will hopefully be soon. Climate change and health is the theme. Knowledge, attitude, and practice is what the survey is about. The survey, again, October 3rd to October 28th. And they are going to be asking you to participate in that survey so that they can get some answers that will help to, I suspect, formulate the Ministry of Health's overall plan for how it will deal with the questions of climate change and your health. So we are going to take a quick break. And then on the other side of the break, hopefully by then, we will be joined by the rep from the Ministry of Health, so we can get into the nitty-gritty of this conversation about what some of the plans are as it relates to climate change and your health. Stay with us. This is GPS. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Youngevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes lactobacillus and plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rims, paint, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Youngevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here. On this Wellness Wednesday, we are talking about climate change and your health, and anticipating to be joined soon, hopefully, by a representative from the Ministry of Health, who will be talking about their program, CAP, which is Knowledge, Attitude, and Practice as it relates to climate change and your health. The telephone numbers to call 326 0271, 326 0271, 326 0272, 326 0272, the WhatsApp line. If you have a text message that you would like to send to us, would be 8010271, 8010271. So we know that the government is interested in climate change, not just for the environment, which obviously is a very important concern for all of us, because as it has been said many times before, if we don't take this into hand, this is something that could cause us all to become refugees if our low-lying islands are suddenly at threat of being covered by water. But there are other concerns as it relates to climate change, and much of it has to do with our health. And these are things that many people take for granted, and don't consider the importance of. And so what the Ministry of Health is seeking to do is to conduct a survey that will help to formulate the country's position when it comes to climate change and health, and hopefully create some of the programs that will help to mitigate against health challenges that could result from climate change. So the World Health Organization is also quite concerned about this topic. Some key facts that you should be aware of: climate change affects the social and environmental determinants of health. Clean air, safe drinking water, sufficient food, secure shelter are all impacted by climate change. And according to the World Health Organization's website, between 2030 and 2050, climate change is expected to cause approximately 250,000 additional deaths per year. You heard me, approximately 250,000 additional deaths per year from malnutrition, malaria, diarrhea, and heat stress, all as a result of climate change. The direct damage cost to health, excluding costs in health determining sectors such as agriculture and water and sanitation, is estimated to be between $2 to $4 billion per year by the year 2030. I will repeat that. The direct damage cost to health, excluding costs in health determining sectors such as agriculture and water and sanitation, is estimated to be between $2 to $4 billion per year by the year 2030. So we're not talking a little small problem here. Also, areas with weak health infrastructure. Areas with weak health infrastructure, mostly in developing countries, will be the least able to cope with assistance to prepare and respond. So, reducing emissions of greenhouse gases through better transport, food, and energy use choices can result in improved health, particularly through reduced air pollution. So these are some of the concerns that have been expressed by none other than the World Health Organization as it relates to climate change and your health. The WHO says that climate change is the biggest health threat facing humanity. Can you imagine? The biggest health threat facing humanity, according to the World Health Organization, is climate change. The World Health Organization's concern is that climate change is the single biggest health threat facing humanity, and health professionals worldwide are already responding to this health crisis, the health harms caused by this unfolding crisis. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has concluded that to avert catastrophic health impacts and prevent millions of climate change related deaths, the world must limit temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Past emissions have already made a certain level of global temperature rise and other changes to the climate inevitable. Global heating of even 1.5 degrees Celsius is not considered safe. However, every additional tenth of a degree of warming will take a serious toll on people's lives and health. So, with that being said, this is an issue that requires urgent attention, not just amongst us here in the Bahamas, but around the world. Let's face it, we all share this one planet together. And unless we all come together as inhabitants of this one planet and do what we need to do to fix this problem, our health challenges will be very real. According to the WHO, the biggest threat to health is climate change. And so while no one is safe from these risks, the people whose health is being harmed the first and worst by climate crisis are the people who contribute least to the causes, like those of us here in the Bahamas, and who are least able to protect themselves and their families against it. People in low-income communities and disadvantaged countries and communities are the persons who are most at risk. And you may say, Michelle, according to our GDP, we're not in a low-income country. That may be true according to that number. But the reality is that we have a huge percentage of our population who are definitely low income. People living in adverse conditions, people living in poverty. And they are very, very disadvantaged when it comes to this. A big challenge, for instance, as we would have heard in that clip, are pests like rodents and mosquitoes. Rodents are a huge problem here in New Providence. I don't know what it's like in other islands, whether or not the problem is as bad as it is here, but rodents spread disease, and they are, proliferating like crazy. Just spreading like crazy in New Providence. We have a real problem with rodents. And unfortunately, Bahamians have a fear of snakes to the degree when people see snakes. I've seen people killing snakes, and I'm like, why are you killing that snake? Snakes help to keep down the rodent population. So if we're going around killing snakes, for instance, and there's no natural predator for these rodents, don't be surprised when they start to take over your land. But they're not just a pest. And a pest, they actually spread disease. And we're learning now that climate change helps them to proliferate. Mosquitoes is another problem. When you have so much rain and so much water settling everywhere, mosquitoes are breed a lot easier where there's standing water. Mosquitoes are the number one killer of humans in the world, not humans. Mosquitoes are the only thing that kill humans more than humans. More humans die as a result of mosquito bites worldwide than are killed by other humans. So just those two right there, rodents and mosquitoes, are concern enough for us to understand that we have to take this climate change question seriously and get this whole thing under control. The climate change crisis threatens to undo the last, according to the World Health Organization, the last 50 years of progress in development. I will repeat that. The climate change crisis threatens to undo the last 50 years of progress in development, global health, and poverty reduction, and to further widen existing health inequalities between and within populations. It severely jeopardizes the realization of universal health coverage in various ways, including by compounding the existing burden of disease and by making worse existing barriers to accessing health care services, often at the times when they are most needed. According to the WHO, over 930 million people, around 12% of the world's population, spend at least 10% of their household budget to pay for healthcare. And with the poorest people largely uninsured, health shocks and stresses are already currently pushing around 100 million people into poverty every year, with the impacts of climate change worsening this trend. So you can see that this is a serious problem that we really need to take into consideration and consider nationally what kind of programs we will put into place to try to offset some of this. Climate-sensitive health risks are a very important concern. And climate change is already impacting health in a myriad of ways, including by leading to death and illness from increasingly frequent extreme weather events, such as heat waves, storms, floods, the disruption of food systems, increases in food contamination, water and vector-borne diseases, and mental health issues. Mental health issues? Well, yeah. Imagine now the mental health fallout from Dorian, for instance. People are still traumatized years later by the memories of going through such a storm. Again, these are things that we don't necessarily think about at the outset, but definitely are a part of this whole question of climate change and your health. Furthermore, climate change is undermining many of the social determinants for good health, such as livelihoods, equality, and access to healthcare and support, social support structures. And these climate-sensitive health risks are disproportionately felt by the most vulnerable and disadvantaged, including women, children, ethnic minorities, poor communities, migrants or displaced persons, older populations, and those with underlying health conditions. So if you are one who finds yourself among those populations, or anyone that you know and love, then again, this is a conversation that you would want to be a part of. The telephone numbers to call, 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, and the WhatsApp line to send us a text message, and text messages only, is 801-0271, 801-0271. Those are the numbers to call. Okay, so let's see if we can take a closer look at some of the climate-sensitive health risks. Before we do that, let's look at vulnerability. Included in the vulnerability factors as it relates to this topic are demographic factors, geographic factors, biological factors and health status, socio-political conditions, and socioeconomic factors. Vulnerability also covers exposure pathways such as extreme weather events, heat stress, air quality, water quality and quantity, food security and safety, vector distribution, and ecology. And health system and capacity and resilience are also impacted. Leadership and governance, health workforce, health information systems, essential medical products and technologies, service delivery, and financing are all vulnerable when it comes to this whole question of climate change and health risks. So what are some of these health risks? Health outcomes for climate-sensitive health risks include injury and mortality from extreme weather events. We know that it's now being said that between 1,200 to 1,500 persons may have lost their lives during Dorian right here in the Bahamas. We just see what the last hurricane that went through did to Florida, more than 100 deaths there. So injury and mortality from extreme weather events, whether it be a hurricane, whether it be flash flooding, whether it be forest fires, are a very real concern. Then you've got heat-related illness, where people who are exposed to the heat, just their bodies can't take it anymore, because not everybody has the ability to just switch on the air conditioning. And so if you got a person who is, say, health-stricken and shut in, closed up in their house in this intense heat, not getting sufficient water, not getting any breaks from the heat, then surprise, surprise, they may end up with a heat-related illness. And let me just stick a pin in that right there. And I want to say something to show you how this whole thing is interrelated as it relates to how we treat the climate and this whole question of climate change. One of the last things that we should be doing is cutting down trees, especially trees that provide shade. Trees are the lungs of the earth, first and foremost. So when you cut down trees, you make it very, very hard for the earth to breathe as it should. But there are some trees that do a really good job of creating shade. And a lot of people don't even think about it when they cut down trees for whatever reason. You're cutting down natural shade. I personally was impacted by that. One of my neighbors had this huge mango tree that sat between my yard and theirs. And, the mangoes from that tree were really good. But more important than the mangoes was the shade that tree provided. It was a really big tree. I don't know why, but my neighbors cut the tree down. And ever since that tree was cut down, my house, which was shaded by that tree, once the sun goes into the western sky, becomes an inferno at a certain time of day because the natural shade is no longer there. So I literally cannot stay inside my house during those hours. I have to go outside, but it's actually cooler than inside my house because that natural shade is gone. And I've heard people cut down huge trees because the roots are getting too close to your foundation. I heard of a story of somebody who, I think one of my guests in a past show, we're talking about how somebody asked for permission to cut down this huge tree because the roots were getting too close to their foundation, not realizing that that tree was providing shade for their house. And so once they cut the tree down, the heat became so intense in their house that they had to start burning more energy, running an air conditioner all day that they didn't have to do before because that tree provided natural shade. So it's things like that that we need to be aware of. So heat-related illness is definitely one of the health outcomes of climate change. Respiratory illnesses. If there's an imbalance, there could be extra pollen that is in the air. So if you're a person who suffers from asthma, for instance, and you have increased levels of pollen or contaminants in the air as a result of climate change, contaminants caused by, companies or vehicles spewing out toxic substances that lend to this whole problem of climate change, then it's definitely going to impact your ability to breathe. So we're talking now the possibility of an increase on healthcare services, an increased burden on healthcare services from persons suffering from breathing problems. And again, this goes back to the whole question of climate change and its impact on your health. Another health outcome, waterborne diseases and other water-related health impacts. If the water table becomes contaminated for whatever reason, that could lead to disease. If certain pathogens get into your water, that can lead to disease. So you down the way, you don't suspect that the water table was compromised, but yet it's impacting your health. And so this whole question of protecting our water supply is extremely important when it comes to ensuring that our healthcare systems are not overrun by persons suffering from waterborne diseases and other water-related health impacts. Another health outcome that we need to be concerned about as it relates to climate change is vector-borne diseases. In other words, mosquitoes. Yes, those mosquitoes, as small as they are, pack a big punch when it comes to health and disease of humans. The vector-borne diseases are no joke. Malaria, for instance, other diseases that can be spread by mosquitoes, we really need to be able to control. And so that means keeping the mosquito population down as much as possible, but that is very difficult to do unless you get some kind of control over this whole crisis of climate change and the impact that it has. Another climate-sensitive health risk, malnutrition and foodborne diseases. Climate change impacts the food supply. If you have food shortages as a result of damaged farms, damaged crops, as a result of climate change, that's going to lead to food supply shortages. That's going to lead to people not getting adequate nutritious foods, which will lead to malnutrition, which is a huge problem already. So if we don't find a way to deal with this whole question of climate change, you're looking at an increase of malnutrition, which is not a very good idea. So again, and this is all information that's provided by the World Health Organization, by the way. Now, this one you all know is something that I am passionate about, and that's non-communicable diseases, because non-communicable diseases account right now for, I believe, 65% of the world's deaths, and they can be worsened as a result of climate change. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Good morning. Good afternoon, Sister Malcolm.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, world. So, Sister Malcolm, I just want to relate on the topic you're talking about today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Grand Bahama, Freeport, Grand Bahama, and I don't know if you can recall when they had a ship came in, nobody wanted to respect it with woods and all that, and they burned it in Freeport, Grand Bahama. They burned the ship in the woods. No other country wanted to take it. Miss Malcolm, if you come to Freeport, if you ask some relative you know, the mosquito, when they bite us over here, it feels like you're taking a shot, a COVID shot. Powerful. And I think a gentleman was on the news a couple months ago and said the termites is more aggressive, the bug is more aggressive. How do they know that is? Because that boat where they burned down let up all them toxic, strong stuff, and the mosquito bite so hard over here, Miss Malcolm. No other mosquito in history that I feel bite hard than the mosquito right now. And the Freeport grandmama could relate on that. So be it. Big time, and they're aggressive. They don't leave you alone. Bugs go in your clothes, and nobody really paying attention to it. You know what I mean? That's my 2 cents today. Thank you, Miss Malcolm.
All right. Thank you so much for calling. So Libby says on Facebook, if it's the largest threat to humanity, why did they try pushing COVID on us? Well, I guess they figured they needed some help. Let me be careful what I say, because see, y'all just try to cause me get knocked off of YouTube. I already in YouTube jail, I think, or maybe I might be out now. But I got to be careful what I say if I don't want to lose my YouTube channel. But according to the World Health Organization, a health outcome from climate change is definitely the increase in non-communicable diseases. And you all know I'm passionate about that. Because if you have a problem where malnutrition is a part of this, and then on top of that, non-communicable diseases is a part of the problem, then you're looking at a double-edged sword, because many of the non-communicable diseases are a result of malnutrition. Not being able to absorb nutrients properly because of damage we would have done to our bodies. So you see how this whole vicious cycle is working, and why we all need to be paying more attention to climate change. This is something that we definitely need to be paying more attention to. And next health outcome that the World Health Organization is concerned about as it relates to this topic is mental health and psychosocial health. The impact that this is having on our mental health, our mental stability as a collective. They're also concerned about diseases spreading between animals and humans. That too is a health outcome that the World Health Organization is concerned about when it comes to this whole question of climate change. So health systems and facilities outcomes include impacts on healthcare facilities. Our hospital already can't take much. And the more we ignore this climate change problem, the more strain we are putting on our healthcare systems potentially. And health systems and facility outcomes include effects on health systems in addition to impacts on healthcare facilities. So for these and other reasons, we need to pay close attention to our whole question of mitigating against healthcare challenges that we face from climate change. At this point, it's already almost 3 o'clock. We haven't been joined yet from anyone from the Ministry of Health. I'm starting to think we may never be at this point on this show. We shall see. But in the meantime, we're going to take a break. And on the other side of the break, we're going to talk more about what you can do to better protect yourself against all of these healthcare challenges from climate change. Stay with us. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Youngevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Youngevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting sugar-free berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Track Life, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM on this Wellness Wednesday. Michelle Malcolm in your company. We're talking climate change and your health today. The telephone numbers to call 326-0271, 326-0271, 326-0271, 326-0272, 326-0272, 326-0272. The WhatsApp line to send us a message is 801, a text message that is 801-0271, 801-0271. So according to the World Health Organization, although it is unequivocal that climate change affects human health, it remains challenging to accurately estimate the scale and impact of many climate-sensitive health risks. However, scientific advances progressively allow us to attribute an increase in morbidity and mortality to human-induced warming and more accurately determine the risk and scale of these human threats. In the short to medium term, the health impacts of climate change will be determined mainly by the vulnerability of populations, their resilience to the current rate of climate change, and the extent and pace of adaptation. And in the longer term, the effects will increasingly depend on the extent to which transformational action is taken now to reduce emissions and avoid the breaching of dangerous temperature thresholds and potential irreversible tipping points. So we as a nation, it's been said by our prime minister internationally, are one of those nations that is most at risk for climate change fallout, even though we have one of the smaller footprints compared to other more industrialized nations. And while they, play political games, when I say they, I'm talking about the international community, we still have to be concerned for our very own lives. We can't afford to sit back and say, well, they're trying to decide whether or not they want to buy our carbon credits or whether or not they want to be a part of the change. Because while they're, pussyfooting around, we are being impacted. So that leads us to the question as to what can you do, you as an individual, to try to protect you and yours against this whole question of health risks from climate change. So let's take a look at that and answer that question as to how you can reduce the impact on your life.
Taking action against climate change is not only good for the environment, but also...
Okay, I need my producer back at his desk, please. I want to play a clip.
Taking action against climate change is not only good for the environment, but also improves your health and saves you money. By walking or cycling instead of driving, you can reduce greenhouse gas emissions and your risk of conditions like obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. This, as well as catching public transport, also reduces air pollution. Eating more fruit, veggies, and whole grains, along with an active lifestyle, will improve your mental and physical well-being by helping you to maintain a healthy weight, cholesterol, and blood pressure. And by reducing the amount of processed and packaged foods you eat, you're also reducing the amount of waste that's going into landfill. Choosing tap water over bottled water or sugary drinks is not only better for your health and the environment, but it's a lot cheaper too. And heating and cooling your home efficiently will help you remain comfortable and healthy all year round and save money on energy. All of these benefits are not only good for our health, but also help to reduce demands on the health system and our environment. It's a win for everyone. Climate change and health. Act today for a healthier tomorrow.
So you will notice that quite a bit of what was included in that soundbite is something that I'm already advocating that we do in terms of eating better foods, more whole foods, less packaged foods, making better decisions for our health overall. These are some of the actions that we can take. Some of those things that they suggested, I know you're all rolling your eyes and like, really, Miss Malcolm? And that's like, driving less. They suggest taking public transportation, albeit I know everybody doesn't want to do that. But maybe carpooling could be one way that you could mitigate so many vehicles on the street all at once. Because y'all gotta admit, especially here in New Providence, we have a real problem with the number of cars on our streets. I don't understand why this one little island has to have so many cars. It's ridiculous. So maybe we are getting to the point where we need to start considering carpooling. Whether you get to know your neighbors better if you haven't already done so, or if your kids attend the same school or whatever, carpool. You pick up the kids this week, I pick up the kids next week. But we're gonna have to do something because we can't continue along the vein that we are, and not understand that it's having long-term impacts as well. So we definitely want to cut back on the number of ways that we are so thoughtlessly adding to the problem, even though as a nation, our footprint is so much smaller than the industrialized nations. There are still some things that we can do individually that can help. Not cutting down trees, that could help. And we've heard a lot of talk back and forth about who's responsible for cutting down our pine forests for whatever reasons. We need to do a better job. When I say we, I'm talking about the relevant authorities of monitoring that and ensuring that we're not making ourselves a victim twice by cutting down all of our trees. Because those trees are helping to protect us against the fallout from climate change. And the more we decimate our forest populations, the more we make ourselves victims. So, for whatever reason, we need to make sure that that practice is stopped and at least regulated, where we're not just ad hoc cutting down trees for whatever reason. And I understand that this is a problem, not just here in New Providence, but in many of our family islands as well, where persons are indiscriminately just chopping down trees for whatever reason. We have to understand that that's just not a problem isolated to that island, but it can impact the health of us all. So these are some of the things that we need to take into consideration. I'd love to hear from you. The telephone number is 3260271, 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, and the WhatsApp line to call 801 to send us a text message 8010271. Don't call the WhatsApp line. Send us a text message. I haven't checked it to see if anybody has, but if you'd like to send us a text message, the number to do that would be 8010271. Let me check real quick to see if we have any messages there today from any of you with questions as it relates to this whole topic of climate change and health. Okay. All right. So let's see what you're saying on Facebook. So Stanron says, I don't believe any data coming from WHO at this point. Clearly, they have an agenda. Well, Stanron, here's the thing. You have to understand that there are some things that you don't have to be a genius to figure out. And you may not agree with all of the tactics of the WHO. But when there's some things that are very obvious as it relates to our health, I mean, this isn't something that you have to be concerned. Is there a conspiracy going on here? Those of us who lived through Dorian could tell you that storm was no conspiracy. That was a very real thing. And you can see that storms are becoming more and more severe. It don't take a genius to figure out what's going on here. And unfortunately, there are some entities that do have an agenda as it relates to not taking climate change seriously. Those are the ones you need to be concerned about, because their inaction or their unwillingness to take this seriously is affecting us more than it's affecting them. So I know that there's some degree of distrust for some as it relates to the World Health Organization and their approach to COVID-19, but you're talking right now comparing apples with oranges. This is not a COVID discussion. We're talking about something that is clearly obvious as it relates to climate change. And the idea behind this show today is to show you that this affects a lot more than just the environment, but your health is at risk as well. And so you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, in other words. You don't ignore truth even if you don't like the source that it's coming from. And if you feel you have to weigh what they're saying, then do that. But don't just dismiss everything that's being said. We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Hello, thanks for having me. I tend to agree with the person who put the message on Facebook. My research indicates that climate change is a myth. And the reason why I say that is because, for example, just look at the hottest temperature recorded in NASA. The hottest temperature being 95.
You're breaking up.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, the hottest temperature in NASA recorded being 95. From the 1940s and beyond, 95 was basically the hottest temperature. If we are going through climate change, what does that mean? Does it mean the temperature is getting hotter? Does it mean the pattern is changing? What does it mean? Because if they're trying to say it's getting hotter, all indications based on the average highest temperature in any place in the world has not been changed.
Well, here's the thing when it relates to that, and I didn't want this show to be a debate on climate change because this is really all about your health today. But here's the thing. You don't need a 10-degree change to see an impact on the environment. Just look at what is happening with all of the ice melting, for instance. You just need a slight change in temperature, a slight increase in temperature for the Earth to start to react. And so if you're sitting back waiting for some huge temperature change to be your proof, while the ice is melting, while sea levels are rising, then it's like you're ignoring. I mean, you don't have the luxury of ignoring it anymore. That's just my personal opinion. It may be some people are arguing against it for political reasons. I don't know what your reason is to not believe that it's happening, but we have a problem, and I'm not talking we, the Bahamas. I'm talking about the Earth.
Right. When I looked into the ice caps melting, right?
You what?
When I look into the ice caps melting, the melting of the ice.
Yeah.
I spoke with someone who lives in Alaska who says this is not something they can visibly see happening. They said nothing has changed since they were growing up to now. This is someone who lives there. Now, I've never been there myself, right? Now, I know in the Bahamas, for example, we are moving a lot of sand from our country. There's going to be an impact when you do stuff like that. Definitely.
You think moving sand caused Dorian to be what it was?
No. Have you ever heard about HAARP, HAARP?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, HAARP is a device used to control weather. They denied it for a long time now. The facts out. It was a conspiracy at one point. Now they're saying, yes, it exists, right? Another example, chemtrails. They say that didn't exist, and now I think last year or year before they now admitting that yes, there's chemtrails, and they're trying to reflect the sun, and they're saying something. Well, the only thing that I'm seeing, if the amount of change in temperature is so minute, then how is it they seeing it but no one else could see it? How is it that they can see the change in the temperature, but when I look at the temperature, I see the same averages? In fact, the founder of the Weather Channel. The founder of the Weather Channel, he said that there's no such thing as climate change. He said all the scientists that claim there's a change in climate was funded by the same people, and if they say anything else, they lose their funding. This is the Weather Channel, the CEO of the Weather Channel.
So tell you what I'll do. I will do a show just on this whole question of whether climate change is a myth or a reality. I don't want to get bogged down into that today, because today it's all about health.
Yeah, I totally understand, and I want to encourage you to do your research into those things that I mentioned and whatever else you can find, because I don't really know, but I'm just saying this is what I see.
I mean, talking about somebody who lives in Alaska and saying they don't see it. They could afford to don't see it from their house, but there is evidence of it melting. There's evidence. There's evidence of the polar bears, etc., losing their homeland. I mean,
No, there's people saying that there's evidence of that. but I've never been there. Just like there's a person saying the caps ain't melting. So I can't verify either. You see. So I'm not just gonna absorb one and say, well, I'm gonna discard the other because I can't prove either of them. But I'm just saying, based on what I can see and based on the information that exists, that you're gonna have to do some more convincing. Because I know what they got. I know they have things that they use, and so let me not go any further into this. But I want to encourage you to do your research, and I'll be glad to listen to that show.
Yeah, I'll work on it.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks for calling. The telephone numbers to call again. I don't want today to go into that direction. That's a show within itself. And perhaps we will have, a nice debate on with somebody who is a proponent of it and somebody who believes it does not exist. But that's for another day. Today, I'm just talking about the impacts of changes to the climate on your health. Those are very real. There's no conspiracy there. Is that a caller for the show? Caller, welcome to GPS.
Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Malcolm. This is Kendall Hannah from Freeport again. You remember, I know the show is not about that, but recap on the gentleman said who they sang up, and I'm going to be right quick. You remember when I told you about the herbs that I was up in Mountain Right, the herbs that they made control. You remember when I talked to you about this a couple of weeks ago, Ms. Malcolm, you recall a little bit on the show?
When you were talking about what?
When they control the weather by when they made herbs. They got this thing. I see how pronounced it took herbs.
I remember.
And the same thing this gentleman saying, I was saying in the same show. You talk a little longer, you're more educated. You sound a little better. But the same thing we talk about, Miss Malcolm, and it can't be a myth, Sister Malcolm. We got to put more research on it, and like you say, have a show for it because you got intelligent people like me and that gentleman, and some more people do research and study these things, Miss Malcolm. So me, I don't know him, and he don't know me. We saying the same thing.
All right. Thank you so much for calling. All right. I'll definitely work on that show. All right. So let's see. Princess on Facebook says they're trying to bring in the tribulation before God's timing. Also, it's a multi-dimensional system that will depopulate and control humanity, and they will be able to communicate with the vaccinated during that time also. Okay, I'm not sure, Princess, what that has to do with what we're talking about today. Bottom line is this. We are at risk for all of the things that I talked about earlier in this show. Whether you want to put the blame for those things at climate change or not, the bottom line is that if we see stronger hurricanes, stronger storms that are doing more damage, that is going to impact our health. If there is more flooding, that is going to impact our health. If there are more forest fires and other, things that can impact, it's impacting your health. Now, you may say they are all coincidences and have nothing to do with climate change. All right, then that's, like I said, a topic for another day. Bottom line is today we're talking about your health. And like it or not, our health is being impacted by the changes that we see going on within the climate. So that's another way of talking about climate change without saying climate change. But you cannot deny that in some places where it's not known to have such high temperatures, you see very, very high temperatures where people falling out and dying from heat stroke. Even here in the Bahamas, you may say, well, our temperatures don't go beyond a certain thing, but it might be 95 degrees on the thermometer, but it feel like 120, it feel like 110. So just to ignore this, I don't think is wise. Now, again, you may say, go do your research. There's no such thing as climate change. I don't want that to be the direction that this show heads in today. That should be another show. And I will work on it. I promise you I will. But for today, we're talking about health concerns that are very real, health concerns that are not some conspiracy theory. Mold is a real thing. Just look at the domes in Abaco. The domes were supposed to be a solution to many people losing their homes in a storm. The domes became mold infested. That's a very real thing. That's not a conspiracy. It's real. And so there are some things, whether we want to attribute them to climate change or somebody controlling the weather or acts of God, whatever you want to call it, it's still impacting health. That's the bottom line of today's show. It's still impacting your health. So we have to figure out what we need to do to better protect ourselves and our families. Because ignoring it and just brushing it off as nothing more than a myth, in my opinion, is not wise. So that's just my little opinion, though. You know, you may feel otherwise. The telephone numbers to call 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, and the WhatsApp line, if you'd like to send us a message, is a text message, that is 8010271. 801-0271 is the number to send us a text message if you so desire. So we are going to take one more break. And then on the other side of the break, we're going to continue this whole question of the fallout as it relates to human health from quote unquote climate change. Whether you like it or not, climate effects on health are very, very real. Whether you want to take the word of the WHO or not, you can't change the fact that climate effects on health are a very real thing. And together with other natural and human-made stressors, influences human health and disease in numerous ways. So let's take a break. We're going to talk about that on the other side. This is GPS.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Youngevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rims, paint, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Youngevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here in your company on this Wellness Wednesday. We're talking about climate change and health, how changes to the climate can affect your health. More so than just impacting the environment, but can actually be a problem for you health-wise. The telephone numbers to call 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, and the WhatsApp line to send us a message via text is 8010271, 8010271. So, as I would have said earlier, it is now being said that climate change is the biggest global health threat of the 21st century, and health is and will be affected by changing climate through direct impacts such as heat waves, droughts, heavy storms, and sea level rise, and indirect impacts such as vector-borne and airway diseases, food and water insecurity, undernutrition, and forced displacement. So with this in mind, we need to do what we need to do as individuals, as communities, as families, as nations, to try to offset the fallout as it relates to the health of our people. Because climate change, truth be told, is not only a problem for future generations, but it's already happening if you believe in climate change. Higher temperatures are recorded each year, and more people are being affected by disasters, climate-sensitive diseases, and other health conditions. And so some existing health threats are being worsened, and new public health challenges are being created. And this is worldwide. Only considering a few health indicators, an additional 250,000 deaths per year will occur in the next decades if this is not properly addressed. So the health sector has an important role to play in reducing greenhouse gas emissions that are the cause of the problem. Investments to greening healthcare facilities, for instance, is a good strategy, such as using solar panels, energy efficient equipment, and waste management. And these kinds of decisions need to be made. Globally, only about 0.5% of multilateral climate finance has been attributed to health projects. So this is a problem. Our healthcare system, as you all know, is already challenged as is. And quite frankly, if we don't look to address this problem, Jason, I think you may need to close the door, please. Then you're looking at an additional strain on our healthcare facilities. Healthcare facilities also need to be safe and remain operational during and soon after disasters. We all saw during COVID where they had to erect tents to care for the sick, which within itself, even though it was an emergency situation, but that's not the ideal. But this is what we were faced with. So, according to statistics in the Americas, 67% of health facilities are located in areas at risk of disasters. 67% of health facilities are located in areas at risk of disasters. And in the last decade, 24 million people were left without access to health care for months because of damaged infrastructure. Those are just the facts. Again, whether or not you want to contribute that to climate change or something else doesn't change the fact that that is what has been happening around the world. So, direct impacts could be injuries, deaths, disease due to extreme weather events. And we certainly have experienced that firsthand here in the Bahamas. Indirect impacts, diseases such as asthma and allergic respiratory stresses, diseases are exacerbated by exposure to allergens. Increased cardiopulmonary mortality due to high particulate matter and atmosphere levels of high toxic ozone. These are all possibilities as a result of this ongoing problem. You've got the food and water-borne diseases that we need to be concerned about. Socioeconomic concerns like food and water insecurity and undernutrition we've mentioned. Occupational health and vulnerable populations, where risk of heat exhaustion, cardiac arrest, and more frequent work accidents for outdoor and unprotected workers. Loss of work capacity and reduced labor productivity are also expected. And so we want to understand that the elderly, children, people living in poor environments, and indigenous and traditional populations are expected to suffer the most. And for their sake, if no one else's, this is something we need to take seriously. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Malcolm. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm right here, listening. And so I was impressed with some of your callers. They wanted something, but, the thing is, I enjoyed one of your texts in which they castigated all ambassadors to the WHO, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things the scamdemic has highlighted, right, was the need for the public to be educated on the scientific literature, because we cannot trust the WHO. We cannot trust the Food and Drug Administration, neither the Federal Trade Commission, a lot of government entities, the NIH, et cetera, the Health and Human Services.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm in a chat group with a bunch of people that knows a lot. And so the ICANN Informed Consent Action Network, right, that put out months ago that the Health and Human Services had failed to disclose a vaccine and safety data report on efficacy for 30 years. But this was suppressed by the public. But I want to have the public discussing health as far as the pandemic, right? A good thing you will need to do is to discuss salts. Because a lot of people have the perception that salts cause high blood pressure, but it's really an imbalance of the salt. So that can save us and stop the side effects. A lot of these harmful toxins and things they put in us, and we are trusting the people too much. The fireman can start the fire, watch the pandemonium, have the panacea. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And this is what it is. And so the truth about climate change, I don't know if you've ever read Climate Gate. I might have sent it to you. But I'm looking at carbon credits as a financial instrument to account for basically 1 ton of carbon. And so I don't want to have time for it on the radio, but I really would just like to open up the public's mind to an ideology that really was the first person who discovered the reason for climate change and weather change. His name is John Krull, in which he opposed the status quo scientists of the time, and it was based on something called orbital deviances. And so that is the reason for climate change. It's not that climate change is not occurring, Ms. Malcolm. We can all see it's occurring.
Exactly.
But they call it climate change, but it's really environmental change. Everything else is changing. They're not talking about how sulfur emissions from diesel getting people sick with asthma. And this is why first world countries have banned the use of diesel vehicles within their city parameters. This is all nothing new for me. The Earth is an ellipsoid. Like I said, how to calculate carbon units, right? I want the public to just go and Google that and go and duck or wherever and just, because I want them to see it for themselves. And let me see who I could really understand it firstly, because I'm able to understand it. All right? And I'm telling you, calculating carbon emissions is, I want a town hall meeting on this, because I cannot let humanity be driven like a cattle to where the globalists want it to go. I will die. My soul will rot, because there's no need for me. See, carbon is the source of all life. And then they've equivocated carbon. Carbon is used as a standard for like what other greenhouse gases do. So they draw back the carbon to create the carbon credits. Everything is drawn back into the carbon credits. You see? So if it's another gas, then they calculate it still to go back into carbon. So they say like 25 million straws is equal to 1 ton of carbon. All right? And then one carbon credit is equal to 1 metric ton of CO2. And then they turn around. Well, it's complicated. They turn around and they use the atomic mass number, etc. But I don't want to get into it in the radio because it just take up a lot of time. But it's really out there. Just Google how to calculate carbon units, and then let me see who could do it. Because it's part chemistry, and it's just a ratio and just multiplying it, and then you come up with a number. But there's too much variables in calculating carbon emissions. And also the problem still stands with carboniferous carbon that was every year versus anthropogenic carbon.
I don't want to, again, at 52, I know you're very detailed.
Yeah, but the thing is, Ms. Malcolm, you need to do a show on it. And so what I'm saying is, let's look at it for what it is. The truth is not designed for the public to hear.
Right.
And these people cannot tell me, when you have a plane flying up in the air, it burns less fuel. So it's variables in calculating fuel emissions, carbon dioxide emissions, etc. So because too much variables, practically, first you have to identify all the sources. But, that's another day for another show, Ms. Malcolm.
Yeah, that's another show altogether. But, one thing I have to say, and I understand that there's a great distrust when it comes to the World Health Organization and PAHO, et cetera. But even a broken clock is right twice a day. So take from it what you need to take from it. But like you said, they call it climate change. Whether you decide that this is man-made or whatever, the reality is that it is happening, and it is impacting health. And that is what today's show is about today. So we're not going to get bogged down into, whether or not climate change is a part of a global plan to control the population and all this kind of stuff. And we're not going to go there today. That's another show. But regardless of what you think in terms of what's causing the problem, the reality is there is a problem. And my show today is to focus on the fact that that problem contributes to not just environmental changes, but changes to your health as well. That's what we do on Wednesdays. We look at your health. Now, today is not going the way I originally planned. I thought I was going to have some guests on here from the Ministry of Health. Clearly, that didn't happen. So, we got to do what we got to do to try to get as much information out as possible in their absence. But I'm sure that they would have come here with a view to making their case. They didn't show. And so it is what it is until such a time as they do make themselves available to do the show. We have to look at the information that is readily available to us. So how does one cope and stay safe in extreme heat, for instance? There are some things that you are able to do to better protect yourself and your loved ones. And when it comes to extreme heat and these increasing temperatures, you would be wise to, as much as possible, drink more water, good, clean water. I know that a lot of Bahamians in particular don't pretty much like water. They would prefer to drink juice or some kind of soft drink, It's anything but water. But water is something you need to add to your intake if you're not doing it already. You need to be drinking clean water to help hydrate your body. You shouldn't be leaving children, pets, etc., in cars while you dash into the shop. Because those cars get extremely hot. Or don't ever leave a child or a pet in a closed up car, for God's sake. I don't know how many children have to die for that kind of stupidity. But that's like putting them in the oven and turning the oven on to the highest heat. Then you know you're going to have a problem by the time you get out of that store, even if you're only in the store for a couple of minutes. So don't be leaving people in the car. Don't be leaving your pets in the car on hot days, especially. Try to find a way to stay somewhere cool, as opposed to just staying in the heat. See if you can find some shade somewhere. Find someplace cool to sit. Even if you got to go sit on the beach under a tree, get some cool breeze, take a dip in the water, whatever you got to do, try to stay somewhere cool and to keep your body temperatures cooler. Plan ahead to try to offset the fallout from extreme temperatures. I feel for places like the old folks' homes, because those people are not mobile, and if they're having issues with their air conditioning units or paying their electricity bill. I saw a news story the other night of an old folks' home, and a home for the elderly, that their light bill was up to $1,000 and they were about to be cut off. And they're like, please give us a chance because we have a lot of elderly people in here. So try to plan ahead, try to cut back on the usage of electricity as much as possible. I would have talked about that on other shows, how you can cut back on the demand, because all of that helps. Not only does it help you in terms of you paying less for an electricity bill, but it also helps the planet. So you want to cut back on utilizing so much electricity as much as you can, but find a way to stay cool and check in on others. Those of people that who live at home, who are shut in, check on them to make sure that they're okay. Make sure that they have sufficient water, that they're not suffering from dehydration. Make sure that you're taking good care of your elderly loved ones, because they are at high risk for being impacted by extreme heat. So make sure that that there's sufficient water for them to drink. You got to help people out who find themselves in this position. You want to avoid mosquito bites as much as possible. So stay safe from mosquito bites, because warmer temperatures can mean earlier seasons where mosquitoes abound. And when you're talking about more flooding, you're talking about more breeding grounds for mosquitoes. And the more mosquitoes you have, conditions may become, if you provide conditions for them to make it more easy for them to proliferate, then you are running the risk of many very serious diseases that could seriously impact your health. So you want to make sure that you check around your yard, that you don't have any freestanding containers that are collecting water where they can breed. Make sure you're doing everything you can. Make sure your screens don't have holes in your house, that they can get into your home. Try to protect yourself against mosquito bites. And you can further protect yourself against mosquito bites by wearing loose-fitting clothing when outdoors, using natural mosquito repellents is another good way to keep them down. Trying to limit outdoor activity if there are a lot of mosquitoes about until you can figure out a way to rid yourself of them. Making sure there's no stagnant water, I mentioned that, where they can breed around your home, and ensuring that your house is properly fitted with the right nets and screens. These are some of the things that you can do to beat the bite, and make sure that you're not at risk from mosquito-borne diseases. Avoid risks from floods and minimize health risks in natural waterways. So you can do this by avoiding swimming at beaches or in waterways after heavy rainfall events, including floods. Looking out for any water quality advisories following flooding events or in response to blue or green algae blooms overtaking an imbalance that could cause disease. You want to check with the relevant authorities in your country, your community, for water quality forecasts, to make sure that the water is safe. If there's ever a breach, the authorities will let you know. So you want to pay attention to that. You want to be a healthier swimmer. So you want to make sure that you're not exposing yourself to conditions that can result from not being a healthy swimmer. So don't swim, for instance, if you've had an issue in the past 2 weeks that will have weakened your body, like diarrhea, for instance. You don't want to go swimming after 2 weeks of that. Making sure that you wash your hands thoroughly, that you have good hygiene, especially after using the bathroom. You want to make sure that you're cleaning your hands properly, which we should be used to doing now, thanks as a result of the whole COVID situation. So sanitary conditions are important. And you just want to, make sure that you are taking good care of yourself when you go swimming in a pool. Make sure you don't swallow water while swimming in a pool, for instance, because there could be some contaminant if that pool hasn't properly been addressed by a professional. Beware of air pollution. Air pollution is a serious thing. So you want to beware of breathing in too many toxins in the air. Making sure that you are exposed to good quality air is vitally important. So be very, very careful of that. Try not to expose yourself too much to all of the fumes that are being spewed out by some of these vehicles that aren't being properly serviced, but also be careful of things like mold, which can definitely contaminate your air quality and make it very difficult for you to be well. So be very careful of air quality, indoor and outdoor. Is that a caller for the show? Yeah? Caller, welcome to GPS.
Yes, hello, good evening.
Hi.
I'm calling from Freeport, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm wondering, last year I had some tablet in my system, and it damaged me inside and it damaged my face. And they brought me into the hospital and serious condition. My blood pressure was 300. And I feel like when you have a patient have a face disfigured, why don't they ship the patient off to the capital and let them get the help that they need? Because sometimes the doctors here are good, but then you can miss something you're not looking at. And right now, because of this, I'm suffering because of it. I have one side of my face feel like lead, and I have some other implications with my body. And I'm wondering, like, hey, these medicine I'm taking, they're not helping me. And one doctor, when I went back to the hospital one day to get confirm something, he told me, he said, what you come here for? We can't help you.
Okay, caller, you're taking me off track. So here's what I want you to do. Leave your telephone contacts with my producer.
Yeah. And
I will reach out to you after the show, okay? Because you're really taking me off track, and we only have a couple of minutes left in the show. So be careful of the air quality. If you are in a neighborhood where they're constantly burning trees, etc., Notify the authorities if they do anything. They don't do anything, notify them again and again and again and again. Become a pest to them, because a constant burning is definitely contaminating air quality and could cause you some serious health issues if you don't deal with that. So make sure that you are protecting the quality of your air as much as possible. Because the quality of air, I mean, I can't stress it enough how important that is for you to remain healthy. All right. Keep your food safe. Make sure that your food is not being contaminated. There's some things that just aren't worth keeping. So make sure that you are not consuming foods that have been exposed to contaminants. Okay? Because the result is not going to be a good thing. Make sure that you are getting adequate nutrition. And you all know I'm big on this. You got to nutrify your body, people. You got to help your body fight against all of the trying to find the right word, the attacks that we experience from all of the things around us, whether it be an environmental toxin, whether it be air pollution, whether it be stress, contaminated foods, whatever. You need to make sure that you're getting adequate nutrition to give your body something to work with, something to fight with, to protect yourself against all of these diseases that can result, particularly from nutritional deficiencies. And also, you want to look after your mental health. Aside from its effects on physical health, changes in the climate may adversely affect the mental health of many, because extreme weather events such as floods, droughts, hurricanes, etc., can lead to psychological distress due to trauma, illness, loss of loved ones, destruction of property and displacement, and disruption of communities, goods, and services. And that can take a toll on your mental health. So do whatever you need to do to take care of your mental health, whether it means going to talk to someone, about the trauma that you would have experienced, spending more time in prayer and meditation, listening to soothing music or sounds of nature, relaxation, breathing, and exercise within itself, just going for a stroll down the beach, whatever you got to do. Put yourself in a position where you take care of your mental health, because that is perhaps one of the most serious fallouts from this whole question of climate change, because it's not like a disease that you can diagnose. Some people are quietly suffering from the trauma, just quietly suffering. But that mental stress is creating havoc on their health physically. So you want to make sure you're taking good care of your mental health as well. So increase your use of active transport like walking, cycling, which can help to reduce the risk of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, some cancers, musculoskeletal conditions, as an example. Reduce your reliance as much as possible on cars by using active transport or public transport, or by carpooling. And that, by extension, will help to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and improve air quality. So it's a win-win all around, because that will help to reduce incidences of lung cancer and other lung conditions, including asthma, and can help to reduce heart disease and stroke. And eat a healthy diet, plant-based foods, including fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds, and make sure that you have half your plate should be greens. So make sure that you're eating very well. Reduce your consumption of processed foods. Eat more whole foods. Drink a lot of clean water. And make sure you're keeping your place as cool as possible. These are just some of the things that you can do to protect your health against this whole question of climate change. Until tomorrow, we're going to be breaking down tomorrow the Prime Minister's address last evening, his first national address, and I will be joined by C. Alan Johnson and possibly others as we look at what the Prime Minister had to say in his first national address. Until then, I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thank you so much for being a part of GPS today on this Wellness Wednesday. Hopefully you got something out of it, provided you with some information of what you can do to protect yourself and your health. Until then, I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm Michelle Malcolm. Have a good afternoon.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and guests and not necessarily the opinions of the owners of Global Communications Network and the operators of this radio station.
This is 99.5 Global FM, your number one source for R&B in the Bahamas.